So you're planning your trip to Disney. Got your dining reservations made, got your magic bands, maybe even already picked out your favorite pair of ears, and it's starting to hit you. This is a once-in-a-lifetime trip. This is going to be one of those trips that you remember for the rest of your life. And you start to think about the memories that you're going to make and the moments that you're going to have. And then you start to think, how am I going to capture those memories? How am I going to be able to bring those memories home with me to remember and reminisce for the rest of my life? So almost inevitably the question comes up, do I need to bring a camera to Disney? Should I buy a new one? Is my phone good enough? And that's not usually the most important question people ask, but I actually find it to be kind of important, and here's why. Those photos are going to be a reminder of all the incredible moments and memories that you made together on this trip. But if you end up hating the photos that you take, or you only end up taking 5 because the camera you brought was so cumbersome to use, you might walk away feeling a little disappointed that you don't have more photos of those memories to bring back with you. So in this video, I'm going to compare 3 different types of cameras to help you figure out which one is going to be the best for you to bring on your trip to Disney. Hi, if you're new here, my name is Allie, and I love all things Disney and photography. And coffee. Now, I have been fortunate to have been to Walt Disney World literally more times than I can count. I did the Disney College program back in 2015 and then again in 2017. And this has allowed me to become really familiar with the parks and kind of how Disney works. And because Disney is such a special trip for families, again, many families only go once in a lifetime, one of the key takeaways that I often hear from people is that they want to be able to remember those moments and those memories that they make on their trip. Now, before I get into the pros and cons of each of the cameras, there are 2 considerations that we need to consider. Now, the first is ease of use. How easy can I use this camera? You need to ask yourself, do I know the full functionality of this camera? Am I willing to spend some time to learn and understand all the things that this camera can do? Some cameras are very technical, and trying to learn and understand them and trying to figure it out while on your trip may not be worth it. Ease of use also applies to how easy is it to carry around. Some of those bigger cameras get very, very heavy. You're gonna have to pack whatever camera you decide to bring in your luggage. If you're flying, that's something to take into consideration. Each of the days in the parks, what are you willing to carry around? You're gonna have to constantly be putting it in your bag to go on rides and sit down and eat, and then you're gonna have to take it right back out if you wanna take any pictures. And having to carry that around with you in the Florida heat and the humidity and the crowds, you might just be tempted to put it away and never pull it out to take any pictures. The second consideration is, what is the purpose of these photos? Are these photos mainly gonna live on my computer, maybe sharing them digitally to friends and family, posting them on social media, but you're never really gonna print them? Or do you plan on printing out a lot of these pictures and getting larger prints or even canvases to hang around your house? These are 2 considerations that you're gonna wanna keep in mind as we go through each of these cameras. So the first camera that I wanna talk about is actually the one that is in your pocket or that you might be watching this video on right now, and that is your smartphone camera. Most smartphones nowadays have actually come a long way, and they actually have pretty powerful cameras built right in. Now, some of the benefits of using the camera that's on your phone are fairly obvious, like the fact that you already have it. You don't have to go out and spend more money and buy a second piece of equipment. You can just use what you've already got. It's also going to be incredibly convenient because you're going to need your phone throughout your trip to either Walt Disney World or even Disneyland. From mobile ordering to checking ride times and character weights, you're going to have your phone on you, and being able to have that also as your camera is going to be very convenient for you. Plus, many of the newer smartphones even have multiple cameras. So for example, I have the iPhone 14 Pro, so I have 3 separate lenses on the back of my phone, which allows me to get some super wide shots and some super tight shots or very zoomed in shots. Again, all with just my phone and not having to carry something else with me. Now, even if you don't have like the top of the line, the pros and stuff, most of them will still have at least 2 lenses, allowing you for a little bit more flexibility in the photos that you can capture. Now, another benefit is many of them have editing tools built right in. For example, with iPhone in the Photos app, you can do some basic adjustments there. Or if you so choose, a very popular editing app is the Lightroom mobile app. So you can take the photos and edit them right from your phone without ever having to connect it to a computer if you don't want to. Now, of course, there are going to be some downsides. One of those downsides is the sensors in the camera for your phone are going to have to be small because the phone itself is very small. And this can have some limiting factors. For example, example, it can be a little bit difficult to capture photos in lower light, especially with fast moving objects. For example, like if you're capturing the parade at night, that might be a little bit difficult to do on your phone. But it's the same thing with the zoom. You do have to be careful. If you zoom really, really far in, you might start to get a little bit of noise and the image might become very pixelated. Another downside actually goes hand in hand with the convenience side. Now, while it might be very convenient to have your phone as your camera because you're already gonna have your phone, you are gonna have to be careful as this will affect your battery life. If you're constantly having to pull your phone to take tons of pictures and videos, but you're also having to use it to keep track of your dining reservations, wait times, lightning lanes, all of that, you might run through the battery on your phone pretty quickly. And so you might have to bring a charger or an external battery with you, which, okay, now that's something else that you're gonna have to bring alongside your phone. So the second camera to consider on your Disney trip is a point and shoot camera. And these are gonna be compact digital cameras that have built-in lenses. Some examples of these would be like the Canon GX7 or the Nikon Coolpix A1000. So some of the benefits include the fact that, like I said, they're very compact. Some of them are even smaller than some of the smartphones on the market today. And so being able to carry those around with you makes it very convenient. They also will typically have a little bit better of an image quality than the cameras on just your phone. They also will typically have a longer of a zoom range. So for example, the Nikon Coolpix A1000 has an optical zoom equivalent of about 24 millimeters all the way up to about 840 millimeters, which is a crazy range when you think about it, but it can be very helpful for things like if you're photographing the parade or different shows and you're having to stand a little bit further back, you can still be able to capture some of those moments on stage and get those characters with that longer zoom range. Now, for some of the downsides, again, it's gonna be an extra thing. So now you're gonna have your phone and you're gonna have your camera that you're gonna have to carry with you when you're in the parks. You're gonna have to keep track of it, and you're gonna have to keep track of all the accessories. So at least the charging cord that comes with it to keep it powered on, as well as anything necessary to transfer the photos to your computer or to somewhere else rather than the camera itself. You're gonna have to carry all those things with you and pack them when you're traveling there and throughout the parks and stuff. The other thing to keep in mind is unless you already own one, this is gonna be an extra expense. And while they're not as expensive as say a DSLR or a mirrorless or a more professional camera, unless you already own one, it is gonna be an additional expense. Most of these you can find from anywhere to about $350 to about $800 for a new one, or you could even consider a refurbished one or a used, save a little bit of money. But again, unless you already own one, it is gonna be an additional expense. All right, so the last camera that I want to talk about is a DSLR or mirrorless camera. So here I have my Nikon Z6 II, and this is a full frame mirrorless camera. These kind of cameras have a lot of benefits, but also a lot of downsides. So probably the most obvious benefit is going to be that image quality. So these kind of cameras, especially with these kind of lenses, really lend themselves to those really high quality images. Because these cameras are more professional level, you are going to have larger sensors in them, which is going to lend to higher megapixel images, which will allow you to zoom in really close on those images without losing much image quality. It also allows you to take better photos in low light situations or situations where objects are moving really, really quickly. With these cameras, you do have the options to change lenses. And that is one of the benefits of these cameras. You can buy different lenses for different situations, have a wider reach or a further reach, whatever you're needing depending on the situation. Now the downside is that does cost a lot. For certain lenses, a single one can be $3,000. Now, these are not, these are a little bit on the cheaper side, but that is something that you're gonna have to be aware of with a camera like this. With cameras like these, you're also gonna get a lot more control. You can see all of the buttons and dials that I have on this camera here. You're gonna be able to change some of these settings by even small amounts to be able to get the image exactly as you want it. However, the benefits of a camera like this do come at the cost of knowledge. You really need to be able to understand the full functionality of a camera like this to really get its value. It can take months or even years to really understand the full functionality of a camera like this, and take that long to really get comfortable using it in situations where you have to act fast to get the photo that you want, especially in situations like a theme park where things are constantly changing or happening. You really need to be able to be comfortable understanding all the buttons and knobs and what everything does in a camera like this. Because if you're thinking about buying a a camera like this, like the full setup for your Disney trip, but you're not as committed to learning all the functionality of it and you plan on leaving it on auto the whole time, at that point I honestly would just recommend sticking with your phone. I think you would probably get better photos and likely more photos at that point because you're going with something that you understand how to use and is convenient for you to use. The other thing to consider is, like I said, these cameras are far more expensive. A good setup of a body and lens can cost you anywhere from $3,000 upwards of $10,000 if you so choose. The other thing to keep in mind is if you choose a camera like this, you are gonna have to carry it around with you. It's not a light camera. In addition to the camera itself, if you bring any additional lenses, you're gonna need extra batteries, chargers, all those extras, and probably a separate bag to carry it in as well because it needs to be protected. That's gonna add a lot of weight to your luggage, or again, an additional bag. Are you willing to pack all of those things in your luggage? Are you willing to carry this around with you all day to capture photos on? Your answer may be yes. Oftentimes for me, it's yes, because I value it so much. But that's just something that you're gonna have to ask yourself. Is that something that you're willing and wanting to do while you're on your Disney trip with your family? Also remember, if you choose a camera like this, you're gonna have to carry it around with you. Not only packing it in your luggage to get there, but day after day in the park. So you have to pull it out, take photos. If you wanna go on a ride, you're gonna have to put it away in your bag. After the ride, if you wanna take more photos, you're gonna have to pull it out. And if you wanna eat, back in the bag. And it's gonna be a constant all day. And it can be tedious to constantly be doing this when you're running around the parks. Now, of course, I'd be remiss if I didn't at least mention Disney PhotoPass service. So if you're concerned about wanting some nice, higher quality family photos around the parks, but you're really not wanting to lug around a second camera with you, I understand, and Disney understands, and that's why they have the Disney PhotoPass service. So all around the parks and sometimes even the resorts, Disney has photography trained cast members that can take your photo for you. Now, while the actual service of getting your photos taken is included in your ticket price, the actual photos themselves are not. And you have two options to purchase those photos. The first would be just individually. So at the end of your trip, it will connect to your My Disney Experience account and you can go through either digitally or at the parks themselves and pick and choose which of the photos you want. In the parks, you can have them printed out and you can just choose whichever photos you would like and just purchase those. Or there's a service called Memory Maker, which if you purchase it ahead of your trip, you do get a little bit of a discount, so something to look at. But this will include each and every one of the digital copies of any photos that you take for the duration of your trip. So if you plan on taking a lot of photos using the PhotoPass service and you want to be able to keep all of those photos, go ahead and purchase the Memory Maker package and then you'll get all those digital downloads. So this is a great way to get some higher quality photos of you and your family without you having to bring along another camera. Something else to keep in mind with the Disney PhotoPass cast members is if you ask politely, most of the time they will take photos for you on your own phone. So for example, with a lot of the characters, they will have PhotoPass cast members stationed with the characters. So if you go and meet Mickey Mouse, you can ask the cast member to take photos of you meeting Mickey on your own phone. The PhotoPass cast member will still take some photos with their camera, but most of the time they're more than happy to take photos on your own phone. And that's another way to get, especially group photos with everyone in them without having to pay for the additional service as well. So each of these cameras can work for you and your Disney trip and honestly work very well. It's just going to depend on those pros and cons and those two considerations that we talked about and what's going to be best for you and your family. I have done trips with my big Nikon camera and I have done trips with just my phone, and both times I was able to walk away with amazing photos of those memories that I never want to forget. In the end, again, it just goes back to those two considerations. Which of these cameras do I think is going to be easiest for me to use, and which of these cameras is going to provide me with the desired outcomes of the photos that I want. If you have any questions that I didn't answer, feel free to leave me a comment, whether it's about the cameras themselves, Disney PhotoPass, any kind of questions, I'd be happy to answer them. In my next video, I'm going to be talking about all the things that you need to keep in mind if you do decide to bring a bigger camera like a DSLR or a mirrorless to Disney. These will include things like restrictions, just need to knows, and considerations, so be on the lookout for that. Also, let me know in the comments which camera you plan to bring on your trip. Are you gonna go all out like I sometimes do? Or are you gonna keep it more simple with the point and shoot, or maybe even just your phone? Let me know. I'd love to hear what most people bring on their Disney trips.